This week, we got WWE draft results, we've got Backlash predictions, and we've got some more Tony Khan controversy. This week on Wrestling with the Business.
Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome back to the greatest wrestling commentary show in the IWC. I am your host, the varsity athlete, Jeremy Bodette, and with me, as always, two-man booth this week, the Professor Matt Lambert. Dan is out frolicking in fields of daisies, so be sure to tweet at him, hit him. But before you do that, like, comment, share, subscribe, get the word out there. We're growing. We're making progress.
We're on a brand new channel.
New year, brand new channel. If you're not watching this on Wrestling with the Business, I don't know how you're watching it because we're only posting there now. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell so that you will see when we are out there giving you the latest and greatest in the world of professional wrestling from the perspective of an amateur. Because let's be honest, that's what we are. All right, moving on.
And, hang on, before we move on, when you subscribe, you see some awesome videos like Gauntlet this week, where we came up to a tie between me and Dan again. I don't know how this keeps happening, but since he's not here to defend himself, I automatically win, right?
How do you let him do that is really the question, because you're the professor, you're in control. So you're letting him do this.
I got to start throwing spit wads or something at him.
Yes, distraction. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I mean, if you can win fairly, then win fairly. But if you can't, cheat, win, and then just change history.
Just like a proper heel.
Actually, that's right. Go heel, turn heel. Perfect. Yes, I like that. Okay. Let's start top of the hour, curtain jerk. The draft started this past Friday, started on SmackDown, went to Raw. I want to know your biggest takeaway from the two-night draft this year. What was it?
Not much happened. I wasn't a fan.
You were
the biggest, I mean, one of the biggest problems, we all thought people were going to get drafted down to NXT because they're the third brand. They're equal to Raw and SmackDown, but that didn't happen. It was all between Raw and SmackDown. People came up, obviously, Dragunov and Corbin and a bunch of others. But, I mean, overall, most of the people stayed where they already were. And the picks that moved, it's not going to make much of a difference.
Yeah, I would say, and really the moves were like tag teams that had gotten broken up. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking of Imperium, with,
Vinci.
Yeah, Vinci basically getting broken off, 2 weeks ago or whatever, and now he gets shunned over to SmackDown to work the lower mid-card.
Yeah, I don't see anything happening with him.
Which sucks. I mean, he's exceptionally good. He had a good role in Imperium. If they do nothing with him and they end up releasing him out into the wild, that's going to be such a shame because he's been really helpful with them. What struck me isn't so much what happened on, is so much what happened off the screen. If we think about all of yesterday's top stars, the up and coming, the future would be what we say. All of them, not all of them, a lot of them have been relegated to being drafted off air. Like, we don't even care. And you understand that some people are going to get drafted off air, but some of these guys that are getting drafted off air just entirely struck me. Fire and Dawn, the old NXT women's champions, probably part of the reason why the women's belts got unified.
The tag belts.
The tag belts got unified. I mean, they came in last year. They hit the ground running. They were lighting the world on fire, and for a couple of months, it really looked like they were going to be the future. Now, they're getting drafted to SmackDown at the end. You got Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark. They were part of major plot lines of the last 12 months. As a matter of fact, Shayna Baszler was about a year ago. She won the championships in Albany.
The tag champs with Ronda Rousey.
With Ronda Rousey. Well, I don't know. Maybe her being friends with Ronda Rousey is creating some friction inside the organization because they drafted her offline. Zoe Stark was involved in that storyline with
Becky Lynch and Trish
and
Stratus.
Trish Stratus.
Yeah.
That cage match. Well, she's not allowed to be involved in that. New Catch Republic. Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. They don't get any respect at all. Carter and Chance.
Former tag champs.
Another tag team that worked. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that somebody like Natalya is going to get drafted. Okay, fine. That's fine. But this is like yesterday's goods they can't get rid of. So they're trying to like slowly inch them off of the screen. It really just, it struck me as very interesting. Let's go over the Raw ones really quick. So you bring a guy up from NXT and you don't draft him on air? Why bring him up from NXT? Why is Baron Corbin coming up from NXT? He got drafted to SmackDown after SmackDown ended.
Mm-hmm.
The OC seems to be the redheaded stepchild of
when was the
AJ
last time
Styles.
they were even on TV?
Think about this. AJ Styles is having a main event card match at Backlash for the Undisputed Championship, WWE Championship, with Cody Rhodes, the Golden Boy, and the OC is getting drafted.
Off air.
Off air.
Yeah.
To the same brand that he's on, SmackDown, by the way. Oh, I'm sorry. Got drafted to, I think he got drafted to Raw, right? No, they got drafted to SmackDown. So they're still in the same brand, but they've separated him off of the OC. Again, I don't know what's going on. Poor Giovanni Vinci can't get any respect ever since he got broken off from Imperium. He's been left on his own. He gets drafted offline along with Tegan Nox. Again, Apollo Crews, not surprised at all to see a guy like that. But you really wonder, I mean, again, it's good to see guys like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa getting drafted. On screen, they're getting a little more respect than they used to. This might be a situation where you just have to pay your dues. But
coming out at the last pay-per-view dressed as DX probably helped them.
This really is an indicator of who's the favorite and who isn't. I mean, there's no greater way to take the temperature of the organization.
All right, so now let me ask you this. Which, based on all the drafts and how things are moving, now this all takes effect after Backlash. That's what they said.
Next week, yeah.
Which roster are you more excited to watch?
Raw.
See, I want to watch SmackDown.
Why? Why do
all
you want
my
to watch
favorite
SmackDown?
wrestlers are on SmackDown now.
Who?
Cody Rhodes, Bayley, Jade Cargill, Kevin Owens, Tiffany Stratton.
Okay, wait.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
Stop. Let's take these one at a time. Cody Rhodes, okay, fine. But he's going to SmackDown because he won the championship.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
Right, he's not going anywhere. Okay, who else?
Bayley, champion. Yeah,
Bayley, she can't move.
Jade Cargill, Kevin Owens.
Okay, hang on. But Jade Cargill is going to get paired up with Bianca Belair. She's not going to be a singles person.
Okay.
So who... I don't want to get ahead of ourselves. They're wrestling for the tag championships. Okay. Let's assume for a second they win the championship. Who are they going to have good wrestling matches against? The best person for Jade Cargill to wrestle is Bianca Belair.
Sure, which is why I don't think they're going to win the championships, but we'll talk about that later.
They're going to win. She's going to turn heel, okay? Bianca Belair is going to turn heel.
Oh, you think Bianca's going to turn? Oh, okay. I think Jade's a much better heel than Bianca.
That's why I think they're going to do it that way.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't think that they're set up for good matches, though. I just don't think that they are. I mean, you've got the three, Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi are like the big three right now, with Charlotte being out, right? With Becky Lynch, who's supposed to be out, but she's holding the title. Like, they're kind of like the big three right now that everybody's excited about, that I can see right now. I don't see people getting crazy over Chelsea Green or even Bayley, obviously.
Bayley got much more of a reaction at WrestleMania than...
She did, but I think that's going to burn off really fast.
Think so?
Yeah, because I don't think she's going to do much with the championship. She's face right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what is she going to do with it? How's she going to hold it? And who's she going to hold it against? Yeah. See, so like that's what I'm saying. Like, I just don't think, especially from the woman's side. Oh, Nia Jax.
Blair Davenport. That'll be a good call-up.
But she's not going to... You think she's going to get a lot of action?
I would hope so.
I mean, I'm excited.
She's a fresh face. She's going to be a heel. She's always been a better heel.
Versus Judgment Day, LWO, Braun Strowman, CM Punk, Damage Control, Imperium.
Hang on. CM Punk out injured. He's not going to be back for a while. Judgment Day.
No. He's back. He's back very soon.
You think so?
Yeah, before SummerSlam. He's back before SummerSlam. They're already incorporating him into the stories.
I understand that.
With him and Drew McIntyre going at it.
And how long until he gets injured again?
I don't know, but I think you'll get a couple matches out of him. Drew McIntyre.
Okay.
Right? He's one that just got signed.
Judgment Day is old news. Damage Control is old news. Braun Strowman, LWO, The only one that does anything in LWO is Rey Mysterio.
What about Carlito?
Carlito's, he's going to be facing Carlito now. Carlito's a bad guy.
New Day?
He's the one who beat up Dragon Lee.
New Day?
New Day, I mean, yeah, they're always entertaining, but they're pretty old news at this point.
Big Bronson Reed?
Bronson will be interesting.
Seth Rollins?
Lyra Valkyria, that'll be interesting.
Braun Breaker? Ricochet?
Seth Rollins, I'm sick of. Braun Breaker will be good.
Liv Morgan's getting a big push lately.
Okay.
She's doing pretty well. Sheamus, the story he's doing right now with the McBurgers.
I don't care about Sheamus.
It's a good story. I mean, I think that the quality of wrestling on Raw is going to be better than the quality of the wrestling. Now, story-wise, maybe a little different. That might be a little bit different. Okay. But, yeah, story-wise, it might be a little bit different. But
I think all the people you got there on Raw, half of them aren't going to be used.
That's 100% true because it is too crowded. You do have too many people that could do good matches.
Okay, we got to bring it up. Go to the bottom of that Raw list, and whose name do you see there?
Odyssey Jones.
Odyssey Jones. The second draft in a row he's been drafted in, and he hasn't been on TV once.
I know. How does that guy have a job still? What does he know about Triple H? Odyssey, if you ever want to come on the podcast and expose whatever's going on back there that's keeping you your job, we would love to know. Yeah,
I think the guys on SmackDown, they'll get used much more frequently, and I just like the quality of the wrestlers better on SmackDown.
You know, I do not think that the OC or Apollo Crews is going to...
Yeah, that's going to happen on any
you're going to
roster.
have look, somebody's got to play right field, right? Mm-hmm. So you are going to have a certain number of people. But, I mean, when I look at the people that I'm actually excited to watch, LA Knight, I'm not excited about the Bloodline. No. You're right, Bloodline's dead. I'm excited about DIY. I'm not excited about Pretty Deadly. You know what I'm saying? I'm not excited about Nakamura.
They'll have some good matches.
I mean, there are people that got drafted really high that I'm not excited about.
Oh, yeah. Which one what was it you mentioned earlier off air? Nia Jax. Which one did she get drafted at?
Of course, she went to SmackDown. Nia Jax, who was mentioned in her card when they drafted her. Can we just talk for a second? Night 1, round 2, pick 3. Okay? And then when they make the call, they cut to the fake draft rooms between Raw and SmackDown, and you got guys throwing their fake Raw and fake Raw hats like, oh, we missed her. Oh, darn it. Oh, gosh
we
diggity.
Missed the one-time model.
Gosh diggity. Yeah, the former model. Oh, my gosh.
Did it say anything about her former championships or anything?
Holy crap. Oh, my. Oh, we missed her. Who didn't call? I was just like, I was beside myself. That took the kayfabe. It took kayfabe too far for me. It's like you are going to, all the people that you could possibly pick, you're going to pick her before Night 1, round 2, pick 3. It's just Tiffany Stratton got picked after her.
Jade Cargill got picked after her.
You see what I'm saying? It's like something.
See, that just proves WWE is just hiring models and not athletes. God damn it.
I mean, this, there is something wrong with it. I mean, there has to, if you're gonna kayfabe having the two rooms, the two draft rooms, you have to kayfabe the order a little bit better. Like, you can't just be like, I understand, like, you pick your top. Gunther gets picked early and stuff like that. That makes a lot of sense to me. Seth Rollins is going to get picked early.
Even Gunther, he didn't get picked alone, and he was picked with Ludwig Kaiser, and they were picked on night 2.
Well, that's just night 2. He was round 1, pick 1.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he's literally the
Raw,
first
not
pick.
on SmackDown.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
he was literally the first pick. So, like, that kind of makes sense to me. But then that logic completely falls apart when you got Drew McIntyre not going until round 3, pick 3. Really? Round 3, pick 3. So it just entirely ruins it for me. Damage control, okay, fine. Round 1, that makes sense. They're kind of premier. So the logic just completely falls apart. It's like they only do it 50 or 60% of the way. And because they only do it 50 or 60% of the way, you get things like Nia Jax getting picked that high up and everybody pretending like they've really missed out on something when the last feud she had was with Becky Lynch, right? Mm-hmm. And it didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything, and Becky ends up with the championship, and she's nowhere to be found. So, Just make a choice is all I'm saying. Like, go one way or the other. But this half and half stuff where, like, the first 5 picks make a lot of sense and then everything else is just, oh, yeah, but we're going to still pretend like it actually makes sense.
Oh, we forgot about this person.
But then at the same time, you're going to throw a whole bunch of other people onto the internet, basically, or to get drafted offline or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole thing just, it's not consistent enough.
Right, so you'll be watching Raw, I'll be watching SmackDown, and we'll see which one's better.
I think we know which one will be better. Speaking of which, let's move on to the news. So, Mr. Drew McIntyre has signed a deal. Finally. 4 years, $4 million a year. I guess my first question is he worth it? $4 million a year. So that's Okada money. Okada made roughly, we think, about $4 million a year. That's Okada money. Is he worth Okada? Osprey, that's Osprey money. He's definitely an entertainer.
He's definitely good. He's definitely good to watch. I don't know if he's quite at those levels, but I'm biased, so
and
I think he'll make himself worth it.
Almost immediately suffers an elbow injury.
Right.
And if he's not there for Clash at the Castle
in his hometown, his home country,
in mid-June, which is only
an elbow injury.
Yeah. In the next 6 weeks, they have 3 premium live events. They have Backlash. Then in 3 weeks, they've got
King and Queen of the Ring.
King and Queen of the Ring, which is going to be over in Saudi Arabia. And then they've got Clash at the Castle. So they're going to be overseas for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, yeah. Backlash is in France, right?
And they've been overseas in Europe doing all their live events and stuff. In France, I think, primarily, setting up for Backlash. So, yeah, it's and, of course, he immediately suffers an elbow injury and goes out. So, Lord knows this could end up being a 5-year deal because he'll just get time. We want to wish our best to Darby Allin. Darby Allin stepped off a curb in New York City this past weekend and was hit by a bus.
So he leaves AEW to go climb Mount Everest, but ends up legitimately breaking his ankle. And then while healing up for that, he gets hit by a bus and injures his...
Everything.
Everything.
He broke his nose. He broke his leg, I think.
He was well enough to go to a Broadway show like that night or the next night after getting hit. But yeah, Everest definitely ain't happening anytime soon.
So I brought this up to my wife, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, ooh, like that is not... I think it was Saturday night I saw it because I was watching Collision. And I was like, ooh, man. And I was like, can you believe this? Like, Darby Allin got hit by a bus. And I showed her the picture of, Darby's face all mangled up and everything. And she goes, really? The guy that loves getting himself hurt, putting himself in dangerous situations, I'm supposed to believe he didn't intentionally step off that curb in front of that bus? I was like... are you saying he's like just some masochist?
She has a point.
He's just some masochist that's just like, doesn't actually want to die, but just wants to be in ridiculous pain. Like what are you? And she's like, I'm just saying, I don't think it's an accident. And I was like, that's...
He lives the gimmick.
I'm like, there's no money to be made there. Like, he's just doing it to do it. Come on, you gotta be kidding me.
We assume it's legit, in which case we send our thoughts.
2 thoughts. Hope that this doesn't delay the Everest trip. Hope that this doesn't delay your return because I got to tell you, by the end of this summer, by the time All In rolls around, I have a strong suspicion that AEW is going to need a guy like Darby Allin, a guy like MJF, hopefully a guy like Kenny Omega to come back to the ring and really make something happen. Speaking of people surfacing after breaks, ScottD'Amore has poked his head out of the water. He has registered a trademark in the United States and in Canada for Maple Leaf Wrestling. It's registered in Windsor, Ontario, Canada, right across the border from Detroit. I think it's pretty clear he's not getting out of the business.
Is this going to be a promotion or a training school?
My guess is it's going to be a promotion. That's my guess. I mean, he's not known for his training. He's known for his promotion. And we all know, I mean, he's loved in the locker room, so he's not going to have a hard time finding people, to support him in whatever he does.
No,
so,
good on him. Hopefully it works out.
Hopefully it works out really well, and who knows, I mean, maybe he can, he's got enough connections. Maybe he can get his foot in the door with I'm not saying TNA, but maybe he can get his foot in the door with WWE or something and work out some kind of talent exchange or something like that. That's kind of Midwestern. It's that same area. Maybe AEW is interested in getting involved. They spend a lot of time in Canada as well.
Yep.
And they've got Canadian talent. So definitely some serious opportunity there with ScottD'Amore. Good to see his head back above the water. This past week on Monday Night Raw, we saw an appearance of Patrick Mahomes, quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs, well-known Golden Boy.
That's the foosball, right?
Yes, that's it. It sure is, Mama. He is known for being. He made some waves because he was seen with Logan Paul, and obviously Logan Paul's working a heel angle right now, trying to be as nasty and mean as he can, and he tried to make Patrick Mahomes, who's like the pretty boy. He's like the pretty boy good guy, the Cody Rhodes of quarterbacks, and he's trying to look all heely. Come to find out, it's all just an angle. It's all just a work. Logan Mahomes works for Prime Energy. He's spokesman for Prime Energy. Logan Paul wanted to be seen on screen with him, and I don't know.
This was Logan's call. This wasn't a WWE thing.
I mean, obviously, I'm sure they had to sign off. TKO and WWE had to sign off.
Right, but
it
wasn't like they wrote it all out. This all came from Logan from his head.
He definitely was the source of the idea. I think he said, I wanted to be seen with my golden boy on screen together. It just struck me as,
Mahomes is getting cheered in his hometown hero, and he helps the hated heel attack the other crowd favorite, Jey Uso, right?
Yeah.
It's Jey Uso? Yeah, that's just weird. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, you're destroying kayfabe, which, again, is flimsy, but it seems to be important to guys in the business. You're kind of destroying the story to sell some Prime Energy. I don't know, to me, it seemed like the most explicit sellout you could possibly do. Yeah. And I don't know what it was worth. I mean, maybe Logan Paul gave him $1 million or something to do it. Maybe it was totally worth it. But a sellout's a sellout, whether it's worth it or it isn't.
Right.
And I was just kind of like, I just didn't understand. It just seemed entirely.
How was the crowd reacting while they were doing the beatdown?
I mean,
I didn't see it live.
It's one of those. It's like what? Again, There were plenty of ways to have him on the screen as part of Prime Energy. Like, you could have gotten the message out there. But it seemed like Logan Paul explicitly was like, I want to be seen on screen with him. We are a team. We are together on this. So it was just like, the crowd, he's one of those guys that can't really do anything wrong. They were just kind of happy to see him there.
So they were cheering for Jay to get beat down.
That's the other thing is I don't know when they pump the sounds in and when they don't.
True.
I was starting to come around a little bit until the draft, and then I got really jaded, and I'm like, there's no way the crowd is cheering that loud, for some of these draft picks.
Yeah.
To me, it seemed like they were pumping in the sound, piping in the sound or whatever. So I don't know. It just seemed like a sellout. I know Dan likes to give AEW a hard time for having the TBS and the TNT championship. But, I think WWE has their own way of, selling out, just like they have the Slim Jim Battle Royale and stuff like that. I mean, that's one thing we've all kind of grown accustomed to. But I haven't really grown accustomed to this, just like wasting a whole bunch of TV time. No, sorry, guys, we don't have time. Sorry, Baron, we don't have time to draft you on screen, even though you're coming back. We need time for, Patrick Mahomes to, blow his nose in the crowd next to Logan Paul or hold his novelty championship for the Kansas City Chiefs, so WWE can get a little bit of advertising in there too.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It just seemed like a really huge sellout.
Whatever. Who cares about the foosball?
On the more indie circuit, we had some big news in AAA. You want to share it? My boy, of course, my boy.
Dolph Ziggler making waves after leaving WWE, the new AAA mega champion who I didn't even realize had it to begin with, won it from Alberto Del Rio.
Another ex-WWE talent.
Yeah, who I thought had fallen on hard times. I didn't even realize he had the championship.
He's been doing really well in AAA. Yeah, they love him.
But yeah, good on him. Was so stagnant for so many years in WWE and now leaves and is getting all these headlines everywhere he goes.
He looks better than he has looked in a long time. He's performing better. Let's just talk about how the last 6 to 12 months has gone for him. He gets relegated to the bottom of the card at WWE, basically forgotten.
Yep.
Keeps a ridiculously positive attitude, just happy to be there. I mean, the guy looks so shiny and naive and easy to trick. You know, I mean, he's got the attitude of a 22-year-old that's just happy to be there. And, man, it's paying off. He gets released. He goes to Japan, starts this wanted man gimmick. They go nuts for it. Then he comes back to TNA, same wanted man gimmick, loses, goes for the championship, loses it, comes out, keeps it going. The crowd loves him. I mean, they're going apeshit crazy for him in TNA. Then he goes to AAA, has a hell of a match with Alberto Del Rio, wins the Mega Championship. I mean,
how long till we see him in AEW?
I mean, I think it's just like a scheduling thing. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't if he was still at NJPW, you'd have to have him at Forbidden Door. Like, I don't know how you leave him off Forbidden Door.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I mean, I think he has to go there because there's some really cool matches that could happen. Does he go there full time or does he do like a real story?
He doesn't have to be full time.
But
how many times did Vikingo come in when he was the AAA champion?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I don't think it's one or the other. I think it is just a matter of time before we see him in AEW, and I'd be interested to see how he gets used because that roster is getting pretty crowded as well. But man, I mean, he's the kind of guy you want in the locker room. I'll take him over CM Punk any day of the week.
Yeah,
I mean, he's really doing an outstanding job. It's great to see a guy that was basically forgotten about, was relegated to the nobody. I don't even know if he got drafted the last year that he was there. Like, they just totally forgot him. They put him away. And, man, he is a diamond in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last bit of news. The WWE Speed Tournament continues on. We had Johnny Gargano versus Big Bronson Reed.
Yeah, you called it. Gargano won that one.
Gargano, we know it. I didn't think you'd see Bronson Reed in the final. And so it's going to be Johnny Wrestling versus Ricochet for the inaugural WWE Speed Championship.
And that match is airing tonight, right?
That match is going to air tonight. We know who wins, but we're not going to spoil it for anybody. But it's going to be a good one, and I think no matter who ends up winning the championship, they're going to deserve it. Now, what happens now? Now that there's a champion, I mean, how many matches are they going to have every week? Are they going to keep track of records? What are they going to do? I mean, they've been really kind of murky. They've been really kind of nebulous with, like, why we're going to care about this. I think it's a bad idea putting it on television, putting the final on television, especially because it's pre-taped in advance. So,
keep it on Twitter.
There have been some leaking. I will say this, the WWE Speed channel is not taking off like I thought. I mean, they're at the end of their tournament to crown their champion. How many followers do you think they have? Now, keep in mind, WWE, like a gajillion, trillion, billion, bazillion, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they've got like 100 million followers on YouTube.
Right.
So their X account, plenty of subscribers.
Well, if you're bringing it up, I'm guessing low, 100,000?
12,000.
Holy
500.
Seriously.
As of this morning.
Wow.
12,500. So it is not taking off.
No, definitely not.
The way, you're right. I mean, I would assume 6 figures. I'd assume 6 figures. So maybe it's just going to take a little bit more time. I will tell you this, that I follow them. I comment on their stuff. I share their stuff. They don't show up on my feed. I have to remind myself every Wednesday, oh, yeah, at noon, a match is going to come out. And I have to go looking for it sometimes.
That's not good.
So I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but I think it's a genius marketing scheme. Maybe it's more of a long-term plan, but I think they need to put a little weight behind it. They need to give it a little.
I didn't realize they had a separate channel. I thought it was all under the WWE Twitter account.
No, WWE Speed is its own account. They have their own account.
Okay.
So again, there's some cross-posting that goes on there for cross-marketing and stuff, but it's got its own channel. And I mean, 12,500, dude.
Yeah, that's bad.
That is very bad. I don't even know if you can monetize at that level.
We're pretty close to that now.
So, yeah.
With your help.
We can be with your help. Please don't forget, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Twitter at WrestleWithBiz. Only the best commentary found on there.
We're only about shameless plugs.
All right, let's move on to the mid card. You know, things were just about to get a little bit boring. The draft was done, Backlash was until this weekend, and I thought, what are we going to talk about on our show today? Yeah, there's some boring notes. Yeah, we got the draft, but that happens every year. Yeah, Backlash is happening this week, but it's going to be a really small card. What am I going to talk about? Tony Khan pulls a Harvey Weinstein out of his hat. That's literally what happened. So, why don't you... Actually, you know what? Why don't you let me know? Tony Khan comes out this week.
This was during the NFL draft, wasn't it?
So he does this on a...
While wearing a neck brace, selling the deal from last week.
He does this on the Yeah, he does this on the NFL Network. And I just want to read for you and for everybody in the world, and we're going to show it down below, but I want to read the quote out loud so we can fully enjoy the pure spectacle that is what Tony Khan said. Quote, "We've been doing this for 5 years. We are the most successful sports startup since the AFL. There has not been a challenger brand that has gained as much market share as AEW in many, many years. We are like the Pepsi of pro wrestling. We are up against an evil juggernaut. WWE is like the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling." So, before we continue, I want you to show me on this Diet Coke can where WWE touched you.
I was just going to say, when I think of Pepsi and the opposite of Pepsi, my mind immediately goes to Harvey Weinstein. Makes complete sense.
Please, on this Vince McMahon doll, show me where WWE touched you, Matt. I don't know. I don't even know. Is this clickbait?
It's gotta be. I mean, unless he really did get some brain damage on that TK driver from the Young Bucks, I don't understand why you would say something like this. Just because Harvey Weinstein was in the news recently because it's topical?
Like, well, he's clearly trying to... Vince McMahon, right? He's clearly trying to keep WWE associated with Vince. But does he have a point? See, because this is the same point that I've been arguing for a long time now, which is basically like everybody's going after AEW, but it's not because AEW is doing bad. It's because they're being impatient. AEW is ridiculously successful. I mean, they're estimated to be worth $2 billion. A 5-year-old company worth $2 billion, airing, is it 7 hours a week?
5.
5 hours a week on cable television. I mean, that's, you know, in their first 5 years. I mean, if you compare their level of success to WWE's level of success in 1987 or 1988, they're blowing them out of the water.
Sure.
They're blowing them out of the water. So I think he's trying to make a point, which is like, people are coming after us, but we're here. We're not going anywhere. We aren't failures. And yet...
And we don't have the skeletons that WWE has.
And we're going up against... I mean, him calling them... I don't know if they're an evil juggernaut, but they are a juggernaut.
Sure.
And I'm sure that he probably sees them, because they're competition to him, he probably sees them as an evil juggernaut. Perhaps they've done... I mean, we've talked in the past, we've mentioned on this show about how WWE can write some pretty mean things into their contract as far as like not allowing other promotions to come in and work certain venues for particular periods of time. They want these exclusivity agreements to be in place. Well, that can really get stuck in your craw if you're trying to make your way through the Midwest and WWE just happens to get there first. You know, they're going to do things in the industry that are going to make it hard for you to be successful just through sheer competition. So,
right.
Now, I don't know why they call them the Harvey Weinstein of pro wrestling. I mean, that seems...
Well, yeah, I think like you said, he wanted to equate Vince McMahon to Harvey Weinstein and the despicable things they've done. But yeah, there's a better way to get that point across. You don't have to bring up something like that.
But I don't think he did it. I mean, I don't think he did it out of like sheer clickbait. I mean, I think he genuinely means that.
No, I agree. A lot of stuff he says that is considered controversial, I think he truly feels.
And it's about time he started leveraging his presence in the NFL to support AEW.
Yeah.
Even stupid shit like appearing at the draft in his little neck brace, keeping kayfabe, all that stuff. Like, that's important. I think after 5 years, he's finally learning his lesson that, like, you really have to live the business. This is not about, you don't ever really
This isn't something you can do on the weekends for fun.
Yeah, you don't really take your hat off. Well, I think it's the more you put into it, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
And, you know, this, I think, probably is another way of him saying, I mean, him calling AEW the Pepsi of pro wrestling. Okay, so that means you're calling WWE Coke.
Right.
You know, but Pepsi has an entirely different model. I don't know how deep this is supposed to go, but, like, you know, Pepsi owns chips and stuff like that. It's a much more diversified company versus Coke, which is Coke, you know, and other assorted soft drinks. So,
wait a minute. CM Punk has a Pepsi tattoo. CM Punk is going back to AEW.
That's it.
I just killed Vince McMahon.
You just broke. That's not bad.
Doesn't Pepsi have like a bunch of war submarines and stuff or something?
Are you talking about Where's My Fighter Jet Pepsi?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, there's a really funny documentary about that, about how in the 90s or something, or early 2000s, Pepsi promised a fighter jet to somebody that could collect 1 billion caps or something.
Where's my fighter jet, Tony Khan?
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I think that people are going to take it as clickbait and dismiss it, but I think, you know, I think buried in there is some truth, which is like, hey, be patient. Like, we're fighting a very difficult battle against a power that's better than us in almost every way. Like, we're fighting from a disadvantaged position on nearly everything, whether you're talking about money, whether you're talking about exposure, whether you're talking about talent, we're constantly fighting uphill, and we're trying to make a name for ourselves. And, you know, I posted this on Twitter earlier this week, and it seemed incredibly important and related to this week. I retweeted Wrestling Mark, who posted minutes of wrestling. Swerve versus Claudio, 21 minutes and 4 seconds. All of SmackDown, 20 minutes and 36 seconds. So the one match between Swerve and Claudio last week, which I believe was
more than all of SmackDown.
More than all of SmackDown had. And I tweeted this, retweeted it, and I commented, and I said, this is the main difference between professional wrestling and sports entertainment. That's the difference between those two things. If anybody wants to, well, I don't understand. What's the difference between those two things? That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference. One is trying to show you wrestling. It's trying to give you a hell of a show. By the way, like 1.3 million people tuned in at the beginning of Collision to see Swerve. Yeah.
Nice.
He's a draw.
That's good.
He's a draw. I think they were like 0.3.
They need to put him in the main event then instead of Jon Moxley.
Well, yeah.
And the New Japan title.
You don't want to overexpose him or whatever, so you're going to have to take it slow, and we'll see what happens at Double or Nothing, because it's him and Christian Cage at Double or Nothing. So it should be interesting, but that just struck me as like, you know, it's hard to sell vegetables when somebody else is giving away candy bars. And eventually, on a long enough timeline, the people that are eating candy bars now get fat and old and sick, and they realize they need to eat more vegetables, and then you can sell them vegetables. But, you know, at the beginning, it's really hard. It's an uphill battle to do that, and you really have to make your own brand. So, yeah, I think there's a level of truth to it that people shouldn't ignore. Let's talk briefly about the future of WWE management. Are we seeing a shift? Stephanie has poked her head back up now that her daddy-o seems to be gone.
Came back at WrestleMania, came back during the draft.
So she seems to be making an appearance, although not storyline related. But she's making her presence known.
She's back with the company in some fashion.
She's at least publicly associating herself with it again, which is a pretty huge turnaround from the way things were. Because honestly, even when she did try to take over the company for however many months, a few months, she managed to do that. Wasn't particularly, it was 2022, right? It wasn't particularly public. She was still pretty quiet behind the scenes working. You have Nick Khan's TKO stock, which is up for sale, which is fueling rumors that he's going to be out the door.
Yeah, that's been back and forth. I read some articles that stock has been up for sale for several months, up to a year, and others saying he's selling it with McMahon selling his stock, and he's leaving. I don't know. It's been back and forth. I don't see anything that's really been confirmed until like earlier today, probably.
You got The Rock, who it would appear was basically brought into TKO for a multitude of reasons, but none of which really seem to be creative based. And now you got him coming out and being the one that publicly announces Drew McIntyre's contract
On X, right?
on X, right?
Yeah.
He handed I think he gave the sword over to him, right, or something like that, the Claymore over to him. So, it's like it kind of appears that we're in a transition period right now. And it's so weird because there's a lot of newness to it, but they're all old faces. It's not like, oh, we're bringing in ScottD'Amore, right? Which would be like, oh, he's a guy that knows wrestling and he's huge in the fan base and he's somebody that we could really get behind and we know him. It's like, yeah, Triple H has been in the business forever. Yeah, The Rock has been in the business forever. Yeah, Stephanie McMahon grew up and has been in the business forever. And yet these are people that haven't really been at the forefront of the business
For quite some time.
for forever,
Yeah.
basically. So there's like this weird paradox that's going on right now. It's like WWE is so desperate to separate itself from the Vince McMahon era. It is sprinting from a naked Vince McMahon covered in mud and feces as fast as it possibly can in order to get away from him.
Is that a plug for our 13-part series on the Vince McMahon lawsuit?
He is just desperate to give them a big old shitty bear hug, and they are running from him as fast as they possibly can. This whole thing just seems so fake to me. It seems so disingenuous. Maybe I'm being cynical about it, but I feel really disingenuous about it. I don't think I think that they're trying to make it look revolutionary by sort of handling it in this way. I think that they're consulting with a lot of publicists to come up with a good strategy for how to manage this campaign away from Vince McMahon.
Mhm.
But
That's what you do in a business.
let's be honest here. Nick Khan's been involved in the business for a long time, primarily on the financial back end side, right? Triple H has been involved in this business for a long time on the creative side, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. Stephanie McMahon has been involved in this business on both sides, both the creative and the back end side. Like, we're trying to make this look like some kind of a new age, some new transformation, some new shift that's happening. It really, really isn't a shift at all. I think that there's some truth to what Ronda Rousey was saying, which is basically, yeah, Vince might not be there embodied, but he's there in spirit. And I'm not saying Vince is still there in spirit via Triple H or Stephanie or anything like that, but I am saying that this is being blown way out of proportion, and it doesn't make any sense to me. This is not nearly as big as it's being made out to be. But I like some of the stuff that they're doing, so keep on doing it for now. All right, we move on to our main event of the night. In case you guys haven't been saddened enough by this show so far, I will tell you that Backlash is this Saturday in Lyon, France.
All 5 matches.
Yeah. So,
we decided a couple weeks ago that the Divas belt was not going to be on the line for this show. We're going to wait for Double or Nothing at the end of the month. But just like we did, was it last week or the week before for the last show, just going to pick for fun, see what happens.
Yeah, and I think
See if we can get this 3-way tie going. Keep the streak running.
that's true. That's one reason to keep the streak alive. I think there's just, I don't know, so much to do about nothing on this. Let's just go through the card and see.
All right, so World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest versus Jey Uso. Is main event Jey going to win the belt?
Come on. He just won the championship. No, this is the struggle. Can we go on a short bird walk here? Because let's give Jey a little credit. He's being put in an impossible place right now. He's trying to make it look like he's going to win this championship.
Of course.
How is he supposed to do that? How in God's name is he supposed to actually make it look legitimate, like he's going to win this? Damian Priest just won it. Uso hasn't been in the World Heavyweight Championship picture since there's been a World Heavyweight Championship. How the heck does he's being asked to do something impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So I give him a little bit of credit for that. And Priest is going to make it look good because he's a good wrestler.
And how does the Logan Paul, Patrick Mahomes story tie into this?
That's why I'm saying, like, they sold their souls for however much money Prime Energy agreed to pay them for it, because it doesn't make any sense at all. It's just filler. It's just, we got to get Mahomes' face on the screen next to Logan Paul's.
Right.
And if we can have him holding one of those novelty belts to try to sell a couple hundred of those, hey, more power to you. Like, that's really all that it is. Priest is going to win.
Yeah, Priest.
And if you don't think Priest is going to win, I have a bridge in Brooklyn to sell you.
Undisputed WWE Championship. Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles.
Here's another one. How the heck is AJ Styles supposed to... The guy has been an entire non-factor for how long? Comes back.
He just lost to LA Knight. How did he get a title shot?
See, this is what I'm saying. Like, oh, well, it's Backlash, so nothing really matters, because the draft is going to come and it's going to sweep everybody up.
Exactly.
So,
Makes no sense.
so he can't win. I mean, he's not even being a convincing heel, honestly. So they're not even trying to really sell you. They're not doing a lot of work regards to story. This is literally just a throwaway, because they know that no matter what happens, they got a chance to do a do-over in 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then, 3 weeks later, they've got another chance for a do-over. So I don't know. It's going to be Rhodes.
Yep.
I think we should just on principle put Dan down for the opposite of whatever we pick.
Absolutely.
We have Bayley versus Naomi versus Tiffany Stratton
For the WWE Women's Championship.
again. Are they
She
gonna
just won it.
Are they gonna take it off Bayley?
No.
No, they're not gonna take it off Bayley.
I'm trying to come up with something to be like, oh yeah, it could go this. No.
And by the way, maybe you agree with me on this. There is a way to make this interesting, and that's stipulations.
Mm-hmm.
Put a fun stipulation on it. What happened to a good old casket match? Why couldn't we have a casket match?
Because Undertaker retired.
Okay, but you can still have the casket. A guy like Damian Priest could bring the casket match back.
You could.
With that gimmick,
Yep.
you could make that work. What happened to a good old a match like that? I don't know why you can't have a nice,
Supposedly
fun
PG era
stipulation.
is over.
Because I'm not even looking forward to any of the spots. At least if it's a TLC match or something, you're like, there's going to be some cool spots. They're going to stack tables on top of each other, or there's going to be a cage, or it's going to be Hell in a Cell, or you could put some kind of a cool stipulation on it. That's at least there's no draw to this card whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
No draw. Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill
Women's tag title match.
for the women's tag title match.
See, this one I could see Belair and Cargill winning, but I mean that they could win the belts, and then somehow that leads to them feuding against each other.
I think you have to do something interesting. If this card goes the way that if this whole card goes the way that it is, it's a joke. If you're in France, I'd riot. The French love to riot when bad things happen. They riot all the time. Anytime you try to... That's right, the guillotine. Thank you. Yes, they like cutting heads off whenever they get upset. They love rioting in the streets whenever you say that they're going to cut their Social Security. I think there's going to be riot in the streets if nothing happens. If Bayley retains the title, if Priest retains the title, if Rhodes retains the title, and if the Kabuki Warriors retain the title. And the Kabuki Warriors, you can take it off of them, Belair and Cargill. Great face angle.
Mm-hmm.
And you can set them up to, lose the titles, have a double cross, and then get ready for WrestleMania next year. Or maybe a Survivor Series or something.
Yeah, I'm going with Belair and Cargill. They got to have at least one belt change on the show.
Yeah, you can't. Again, and the Kabuki Warriors are great, but they've held the belts for a while, and it's getting kind of tired.
They haven't really done much.
They haven't
with
done much anything with it.
They don't really have anyone to face, but I mean,
again, fair enough. And this is the best Franken team that the company can put together.
yes, agreed.
So, and last and certainly least, I don't think anybody can deny that.
Yep, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton versus the Bloodline of Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. This is his first match, isn't it, Tama Tonga?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think he's wrestled on TV.
Talk about the island of irrelevancy. This is probably the most irrelevant match since the AJ Styles LA Knight match at WrestleMania.
No, it's Tama's first match. I'm saying they're winning. Bloodline's winning.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they win, and I think Tonga gets the pin.
On Owens.
On Owens, yes, that's what I think. Yeah, because Orton hasn't really... I don't think Orton's taken a pin since he came back.
Did Owens take the pin at WrestleMania in the Logan Paul match?
Yes, Logan Paul pinned Owens.
Yeah.
Right over top of the Prime. Yeah, I don't think Owens has taken a pin.
Orton.
Or Orton, sorry. Yes, I don't think Orton has taken a pin.
All right, so any matches getting added between now and Saturday?
I don't think so. I mean, maybe.
There's some rumors.
Is SmackDown going to be in France? If SmackDown is in France, I think there's a possibility. But if SmackDown isn't going to be
one of the
France,
rumored matches is going to be for the tag titles, A-Town Down Under versus Street Profits. They were all in SmackDown,
right? Yes.
We could see an Intercontinental Championship, Zayn versus Gable.
If that happens, Gable's not going to win. I mean,
or we could see the other tag titles, Awesome Truth versus DIY.
I don't think we'll see that because they're on Raw. So that ship has sailed.
It may just be.
And actually, Alpha Academy is on Raw.
Hence why they're going for Raw belts.
Yeah, but Raw's over. What, are they just going to announce a Raw belt on SmackDown for the following night? That doesn't make any sense. So I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they might. You might get like a pre-show match or something like that. I mean, this is a C pay-per-view, right? I mean, this is nobody cares about it. I mean, honestly, I don't even know how you get 2.5 hours of content out of this, even if every match is 20 minutes long.
2/3 of us are keeping the three-way tie going then, so we'll see what Dan picks.
I mean, I don't know. I would love to hear his argument to pick differently on any one of these. Again, the only one you might have an argument for is Kabuki Warriors, but again, I mean, you're going to call in the police with riot gear because anybody that spent $5 or more, you know.
What's our X account?
Wrestle with Biz.
Check out our X account to see what Dan's picks are going to be.
Yeah,
we're gonna make those arguments.
We're gonna put those up. Yeah, we're gonna take a picture and put those up on YouTube and whatnot.
Fuck a picture. I want him to get on the phone, get on the video, and we're gonna put it on X.
All right, I guess we're gonna have to insert his picks here, Steve.
Okay.
Make him make his picks, and don't let him see our picks first. Make him like a man.
He doesn't watch these videos anyway.
Make him like a man.
I'll get him right and add a comment on
That's right. Hit him early. Catch him when he's sleepy. We'll make him even better. All right, that's it. That's all we have for this week.
That's it.
Please, before we go off the air, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Check us out at Wrestle with Biz. Check us out on Gauntlet. The Gauntlets have been doing really well. Please, guys, when we miss something on Gauntlet, let us know what it is. Comment down below. I'm most interested to hear about what you guys think about Tony Khan.
Seriously.
Is it legitimate? Is it not legitimate? Do you think he's Harvey Weinstein? Or is he more of an R. Kelly? Maybe WWE is more of an R. Kelly type situation. Or P. Diddy. Perhaps that might be more your flavor. I don't know. Let us know down below. In the meantime, you keep watching, and we'll keep wrestling with the business. See you next time.